Welcome back, folks, for a new episode of Leaked, and today we'll discuss a new mini branch of low-tier light tanks and medium tanks that will be added for the French tech line in the 9.7 patch, alongside with the AMX-30A and the AMX-30B. Now, I don't know if this information is correct for the 9.7 patch because these models of the tanks are not even in Tank Inspector yet, whereas the models for the IS-5 and the FE4202 already are. So it's likely going to be a British tank destroyer line that's introduced without showing you the models first within Tank Inspector. So, alright. Now I'll put the conclusion first. One of these 4 tanks are actually worthwhile. The rest of these are pretty much junk. So basically, the R35, this one right here, is the only tank that's worth getting if you're playing low tiers. The rest of these are pretty much crap. So they play like the AMX-40s and AMX-38s. They have somewhat decent armor, but they're very slow, and the DPM is not as good. So basically, they're junk. So you can skip this video if you want, because not a lot of people will play low tiers or enjoy playing low tiers, I guess, since most people just grind out the XP to get to tier 5s and tier 6 and just move on without playing low tiers and just sell their tier 2s and tier 3s, obviously. So yeah, stick around if you enjoy play low tiers or if you're interested of these new light tanks and medium tanks. But basically, they're kinda crap, other than the R35, but alright. And here are some little histories about these tanks. Now, I won't go through full details because there's 4 of them, and it will take forever if I do the same type of programs or procedure like my normal leak videos. So I won't do that because time is precious, I guess. So at tier 2, you have the FCM36. Now it's basically a light infantry support tank, and it features a 2-man crew with a 37mm gun and a 7.5mm machine gun. So small tank, alright. And we have the R35. Now this is basically a heavier version with more armor, but it lacks anti-tank capabilities, so it will only have a short barrel 37mm gun. So basically it's used for bunkers or mopping down machine gun nests or infantry, something like that. Small stuff. Alright. At tier 3, we have the Somua S35. So it is like the same tank for the premium version that's featured with the German tech tree line. So basically the Germans captured it, and it is featured as a premium tank for the tier 3 of the German tech line. So basically, when this tank gets introduced, the German version will be removed from the gift shop. So it is the final time you can buy it, I guess, before it becomes exclusive or legacy vehicle, if you will. So basically, it is the same tank as the German version. It has the same armor. It features a little bit less DPM than the German version for some unknown reasons, but it's pretty much the same tank. And at tier 4, we have the SARL 42. Now basically, this is the French version of the Sherman tank without being the Sherman tank. So it wants to feature a 75mm gun, but the World War II broke out, so this project was cancelled, and the ARL 44 project was favored. So this stuck tank was never made into production, and it was just a paper tank, so whatever. And we'll start off with the best tanks out of these 4, because this one actually has the armor in tier 2 matches and plays more like a heavy tank at tier 2, even though it's a light tank. So the Renault R35 is pretty decent. So here are the in-game models. As you can see, it's pretty small tank, so alright. But the collision model shows that this tank has 40mm of armor, mostly around, with about 35 or 30ish armor at the back. But what that means is that this tank is pretty good and pretty well armored at tier 2. Alright, so that's pretty crazy. Now I put the average values of tier 2 light tanks in the brackets. so you can see the comparison. But this tank has decent amount of health, above average, but the power to weight ratio is kinda bad, 7.75, so it's pretty slow. Top speed is slow, doesn't turn as fast, and terrain resistance is kinda bad. So yeah, it plays like a heavy tank. But it has 40 millimeters of armor sloped at the front at tier 2. Now the average penetration of guns at tier 2 is about 33.3 damage with about 40.9 millimeters of penetration. What that means is that this tank will play a lot like a mouse at tier 2. That's the only good tank out of these 4. So I highly recommend this tank, even though it has crappy mobility, crappy DPM, crappy accuracy. Gun depression is actually pretty amazing. 16 degrees of gun depression with 40 millimeters of armor at the turret. So this is the only best tank out of these 4. So I highly recommend the Renault R35. Alright. And the other tank at tier 2 is the FCM36. Now this tank is a little bit faster than the R35, but it trades side armor. Instead of 40 millimeters, it has only 20, so that's a trade-off. But it is a little bit faster with a little bit better power to weight ratio, but that's still kind of crap at 8.5, so that's not good. Top speed is still kind of slow. Hull traverse is still slow. Terrain resistance is a little bit better, but not that good. Turret traverse is still slow, so it still plays like a heavy tank. And it doesn't have the better side armor as the R35. The gun is the same, so it doesn't have as good gun depression or gun elevation, but yeah, it's pretty much the same gun. So basically, don't pick this tank when you can pick the R35, obviously. But I forgot to show you the collision models. Been talking. So it's a duck tank. Yeah. It does have space armor. That's what's interesting about it. It does have a strip of space armor. So as you can see, there's the space armor, but you might be able to pull off side scrapes with this thing. So it still plays like a heavy tank. But alright. So yeah, there's the space armor. Kind of funky. Alright. So yeah, it's a duck tank, but I would prefer the R35 over this one because the R35 has reliable 40 millimeters of side armor instead of 20. But both of these tanks play like heavy tanks, so I think this one is a little bit better side scraping, but that's up for debate. So both of these tanks still play like heavy versions or heavy tanks. Alright. And at tier 3, we have the Somua S35, which is basically the original French version instead of the captured Panzerkampfwagen S35. The Germans captured it, and it became a premium tank. So this is the normal version, I guess. So hit points wise, it has below average hit points for a medium tank. Engine power is not as good. Weight, a little bit heavy, alright. Power to weight ratio is heavy tankish, so not as good. It will never reach this top speed because of the engine, so it will play like the AMX-38 or the AMX-40, so duck tank, I guess, blah. Unless you go down a hill or something like that, but yeah, it will never reach this top speed. Hull traverse is actually pretty decent. Terrain resistance is the same as the tank before it, so not that good. Turret traverse is actually faster. View range is decent. Radio range is actually pretty goddamn good, but that just means you're calling for help, so save me. But armor is mostly the same as its predecessor at tier 2, so armor's not that good anymore. Alright, top gun is a 47mm. It doesn't penetrate as well, only 66mm, so that's not as good. Damage is also not as good, but it just pump out a lot of shots, so basically you're spewing peas at them, I guess. So peanuts, throwing peanuts, yes. Accuracy is alright, better than 0.48, but still not as good. Aim time is pretty quick, and 11 degrees of gun depression. So yeah, it's a duck tank. Yeah, the gun's alright, but still kind of slow in my opinion. And armor is the same as its predecessors, so yeah, it's not that good at tier 3 now. Now it does have a counterweight at the back of the turret, which is about 60 millimeters, but that's not going to protect you against tier 3s and tier 4s. So yeah, kind of junk. And lastly, we have the SARL SARL-42. Now this tank is basically the Sherman of the French army, but never made past the drawing boards because the war broke out and the ARL-44 project was better, so this tank never made past the drawing boards. Alright, hit points wise has about average hit points. Engine power is below average, way below average, so power to weight ratio is still that of heavy tanks, 10.44, kind of crap. So it never reached the top speed of 40 kilometers per hour, so that's kind of sucky. Hull traverse is kind of slow, only 28 degrees per second. Terrain resistance is kind of bad, below average. Turret traverse is also below average, only 31 degrees per second, so View range is average. Radio range is standard at tier 10, but that just means help me, save me. So that doesn't mean crap. Armor is the same or even worse than the R35 at tier 2. So armor's crap. Alright. As a 75mm gun. Alright, that's good. Penetration is very good, above average, 100mm, so pretty good. Damage is pretty good, 110 damage. Rate of fire is crap. DPM is terror crap, so it has only 1000 DPM. This is a sniper at best. I can only say that because it's slow. It has no armor. The gun's not that accurate, but the only good thing you can do about it is snipe. So yeah, it's junk, it's crap. So accuracy is not that good, aim time not that good. Does have 10 degrees of gun depression though, and 18 degrees of gun elevation, but it looks like a duck. This looks a lot like a duck. So it's not that good. That's a freaking duck. It's a duck tank, oh my gosh. Armor wise, yeah, it has a giant bill or whatever, the crown, like a chicken on top. So yeah, it's gonna get penetrated. That's only like 20mm, right? Yeah, that's gonna get penetrated. Frontal armor is 40, but yeah, it's not gonna save you at tier 4. So yeah, armor's crap, pretty crap. Now I don't know if this tank will be like the douche wagon number 2, which gets preferential matchmaking even though it's a regular tank. So it might get preferential matchmaking, I don't know yet, but the stats right here are kind of crap and pretty crap for a medium tank at tier 4. So considering the likes of Matildas, the Matilda has way better penetration, way faster rate of fire, about 1700 or so DPM, so it can punch holes, and it has the armor of a tier 5 heavy tank. So basically, in comparison to the Matilda, this is crap. So yeah, so basically out of all these 4 of them, only the R35 is worth it, whereas the rest of them are kind of junky. So ugh. And the final verdict about this new mini branch of light tanks and medium tanks is that most of them are pretty much crap. Most of them. The R35 is pretty worthwhile in my opinion because 40mm at the front as well as on the sides means that if you angle this tank at 45 degrees, you can bounce almost all shots from tier 2 tanks, even tank destroyers. So yeah, only the R35 is worth it, whereas the FCM36, it's alright, but it has only 20mm at the sides, so it cannot side scrape as well as the R35. The Somua, however you pronounce it, I'm pronouncing it like Hawaiian, S35 is kinda mediocre, and the SARL-42 is garbage. So yeah. So basically, if you are interested playing low tiers, and if you're interested in new tanks the R35 is worthwhile. The rest of these is skippable since they'll likely go into the BDR because all of them play a lot like heavy tanks, and I presume that these will go into the BDR, so like a second line to the BDR, but I don't know. There's no good medium tanks for tier 5 to 8 for the French because there weren't any. So yeah, you might see a gap for the medium tank branch between the low tiers and the AMX30 series, but alright. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little bit short than usual leak videos because I don't want to spend all day talking about the SARL42 because that would take forever, and the rest of these tanks, because not a lot of people play low tiers, and when they do, it's mostly to grind out XP to get to tier 5s so you can sell these tanks later. So the only low tiers I have is the Panzer 1C, obviously because it's a Panzer 1C, the T18 because it's a T18, and the Matilda. The rest are premiums like the T7 Char or the light VIC or something like that. So I don't keep low tiers because it's kind of boring. So most of the time. Ugh. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, comment below on what you think about these new light tanks and medium tanks. These are freaking ducks. Alright, they're not even tanks. They're ducks. But leave a comment below on what you think about them. Rate this video if you can. That would help me out a lot. And subscribe to my channel if you enjoy water tanks and want to hear more about water tank stuff and leak info. And thank you guys for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.